Okay, thanks for joining me again. It occurred to me that on one of my other videos regarding how to use Little Big Men Studios transfers for shields and how to blend them in, etc., I mentioned that I would give you a view of the army when it was finished. Actually, the video was shot right near the end of the process. It's just taken me this long to remember that I should show you the army. So as you can see here, we're going to start with the Etruscans. What I've got modelled here are a mixture of Wargames Foundry, Gorgon miniatures, and I think that's probably it for the hoplite style Etruscan figures. There are other miniatures in the army that we'll look at a bit later that are from people like Crusader and A&A. But what we've got here is the typical sort of panoply or armament that the Etruscans are thought to have used. We've got a mixture of spears and these heavy throwing weapons that were supposedly the precursor of the Roman pilum. I've modelled my units with effectively the heavy throwing weapon types in the middle of the unit, and the wings are the spear armed troops. It does give you a few problems in terms of basing the figures and organising them, but in the rules I'm using WRG 6th, that seems the most appropriate way to use them. Gives you a bit of cover against cavalry on the sides of the unit, but means that you've got a hard hitting centre. Quite a nice little blend, and probably not too many other ways that you can use them given the rules that I've got. Just give you a little look at the other unit. I have painted some of these shields, but the vast majority of them are the technique that I demonstrated with shield patterns and then trying to blend in the displays. Just behind this unit you can see the light infantry that I based up. Not as pleased with the blending in on those because I've gone for that very white background. I might actually revisit those and paint those the same colours as the shields. But on this front unit you can see that the blending in has worked really quite well. I'll give you a little lift up with the camera. You see that at the back there we've got potentially some interesting units. This was one of the figures that I wanted to use into the army. It's a Gorgon miniatures sort of set. It is simulating, for me anyway, the Etruscan sort of sacred group. We've got a priestess, we've got a priest holding snakes, we've got some burning braziers, all things that were associated with the Etruscan sort of religion, and that is a sort of boost, if you like, for the morale for the troops. Seeing that, we've got some cheap sort of skirmisher types at the back here with some bows and slings, and then if I just move it down again, we've got the excuse me, hopefully that will refocus. Yeah, we've got some cavalry types, and we've got the CNC there. These are Gorgon miniatures, as I said, for the cavalry, quite nicely painted, and again all with shields on the sides, as you can see. If I just go, you'll probably be able to see that a bit better. So I can adjust the lighting a bit. But yeah, all of the same techniques are applied for all the figures, and they've turned out quite nice. Moving across to the left here, we've got their erstwhile allies, the Samnites. Now, I really like these figures. These are a mixture of Crusader, A&A. Don't think we've got anyone else in there, but maybe the odd Foundry type has crept in. These are, if anything, a lot more colourful. They're easier to base because we've got a slightly wider basing. Under WRG parlance, these are light, heavy and light medium infantry. Again, they're armed with a heavy throwing weapon and javelin. So they're pretty useful troops. Morale's good, and I've got 4 of those units. I've pointed this to give me enough points to go to 1,350 points quite comfortably. We've also got a general there, and again, quite a colourful character. We've got on the left-hand side some of the cavalry that I've painted, and again, exactly the same techniques. Little Big Ben Studios and blending in to mask the effect of the transfer. Last but not least, if I move these back, you can see in front of them a unit of light infantry, which, to be honest, are probably way more decorative than their historical counterparts would have been. But again, it's just all part of making the army look quite nice, and I'm pleased with the way that the whole thing has turned out. I'm not going to sort of set the world on fire in terms of competition use or competitive use, but most of my games are of a friendly nature, and we tend to pit armies that are reasonably equally matched, or at least have some chance against each other. For those of you who don't play WRG 6th, it's been around a while. It is a bit of a dinosaur, but it can still give you a good game with the right people involved. And a lot of my armies are based for this, and there's still quite a strong community. So, why not carry on doing something that you enjoy and you find rewarding? For me, this is just as much about the painting and organising as anything else. As I said, I've probably gone a little bit overboard with the basing here in terms of splitting up the units. So what I've done is I've got myself a couple of sheets of magnetised green, sort of backed material. They're sort of just a typical Magna base, so that when I stick the figures on, they're all magnetised on the underneath, and that just helps to enable you to move the figures around quite nicely, so that it doesn't become such a chore. Yeah, really quite like it. I'll happily show you more of the armies that I've got if that's of interest. But thanks for watching, and I hope it proved interesting.